So I don't know if the viewers here, the streamers, want me to list every single one. We counted more than 22.
We've got time.
Okay. All the proposed hikes here: wheel tax, personal property lease tax, regulated and limited business license, food business license, commercial boat passenger license, recycling facility operator fine, annual food establishment inspection fee, public health violation inspection fee, boat mooring tax. You know, all you boat owners out there. Rideshare congestion fee expansion, storage and towing fee, livery vehicle license tax, commercial driveway permit fee, canopy construction scaffolding permit fee, work vehicles obstructing the public way fee, vacant building / property registration fee, employee head tax, which we mentioned, social media amusement tax, DOB trade license fees, online sports wagering. Woo.
Yeah.
Those are all the taxes and fees that the mayor proposed to hike.
And you.
The rich, the corporations, and big business need to pay their fair share. Time and time again, we hear this from democratic socialist politicians all over the country, but we never know exactly what they mean by their fair share. The word fair in itself is totally subjective and is based on one's own perspective or idea of what fairness is. And this is the type of thinking that is destroying the city of Chicago, where residents are seeing their property taxes increase exponentially after voting for a Democratic Socialist mayor who promised that he would levy taxes against the big corporations and the top 1% of Chicago, and that they would not even feel the pain of these taxes. They would only reap the benefits.
Judy, people may have sticker shock. The Cook County Treasurer's Office has been analyzing the new tax bills and says that citywide, the median residential bill jumped more than 16%. That's the biggest increase in at least 30 years. The Treasurer's Office says city spending increased and there are fewer commercial spaces to pay their share of the pie. Treasurer Maria Pappas says there has been a sharp drop in the value of downtown commercial buildings, paying about $120 million less this cycle. That's because of higher vacancy rates over the years.
It went down in a landslide and it's coming back like a snail. Slowly, very slowly, and not fast enough to handle these residences who are carrying the burden of it, because many of them are unrented. Many of these places are unrented. The taxes went down. What happened was the residences ended up picking up the bulk of these tax increases.
And the hardest hit, predominantly black and brown communities on the south and west sides. In West Garfield Park, bills soared 133%. North Lawndale saw a 99% spike. And in Inglewood, taxes climbed more than 80%. The treasurer says many of those homes have been undervalued before the most recent assessment, which is done every 3 years.
But that just isn't the case. Now that you've seen that everything Brandon Johnson promised was an absolute lie, either it was a lie or it was totally ignorant of the reality of city economics. Now you have the citizens incurring huge property taxes that Brandon Johnson promised them would be levied against the top 1% and the large corporations. But he never considered the fact that maybe those corporations would leave. All over social media, I see people saying, oh, they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave. Well, they left. And now the regular, everyday, average working Joe, the generational Chicagoan, is suffering and footing the bill.
The problem, County Treasurer Maria Pappas says, is what's happening downtown.
All these high-rises, commercial buildings that you see downtown are unrented because the businesses have left the city. So somebody had to pick it up. So the residences are picking it up.
Picking it up begrudgingly.
Many Cook County residents are reeling today from a whopping property tax bill that came out late and much higher than expected. Chicago's south and west sides are seeing some of the biggest increases. Our political reporter Chris Ty has more on why downtown may be to blame and what some residents are doing about it.
The pain is real here in North Lawndale, where property tax bills are going up on average 98%. In West Garfield Park, it's up over 130%. And one of the main reasons why is because of what's happening or not happening over there in downtown Chicago, where in the Loop, they've collected 129 million fewer property tax dollars this year than they did last year.
My property taxes went up 75.86%. And so
Richard Townsell of North Lawndale has a friend who saw his jump 237%.
my wife and I, we had a budget meeting last week as we were looking at this. You know, does that mean maybe we don't take the vacation we thought we were going to take?
Thank you all for coming.
A frustration that this weekend led to this bill burning, led by the Lawndale Christian Development Corporation, which he is executive director.
It was a Boston Tea Party kind of moment where it's like taxation without representation. What do we do about this? Not just whine about it.
One idea is to lobby for a state law in Illinois, similar to one in California, that caps property tax hikes at no more than 2% a year. Consider Englewood residents saw an 82% jump this year, an average of $609. In North Lawndale, it was $1,900, and in Garfield Park, it was $2,000.
And what does Brandon Johnson give as a response to those who criticize him for ignoring the warnings that were so loud in the very beginning when he first announced this harebrained scheme? He continues to push the same line. Oh, they need to pay their fair share. And what about the humanitarian aspect? And oh, we have people who are indigenous. And oh, the native people and the people who just want a better life. Continuing to play the empathy and sympathy card while the city is taking money out of your bank account. It just doesn't work that way. It never worked that way. It will never work that way. And Brandon Johnson knew this. But like I tell everyone, socialism, democratic socialism, it's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. They tell you what you want to hear to gain power. And once they gain power, all the promises and the pie in the sky goes right out the window. And you're left footing the bill. So what are we going to do? Because we can't just keep on talking about the problems. We can't just keep addressing the symptoms. We need to address the cause of this situation. And I think that it's time for every citizen in Chicago and every citizen in a city that is run by a democratic socialist, or a city that is even considering putting one of these moronic, crazy psychopaths on in any position of power. It's time for all of us and all of them to just deal with the reality. These ideas do not work. Anyone who is coming to you with these failed ideas, these ideas and proposals that have been proven throughout history to be non-starters, to be just a bunch of baloney and bull jive, as my grandma used to call it, they're only preaching this message of socialism because they know that it scratches a certain itch that people who don't want to work hard to make a living need scratched. But once they gain power, everything changes. Even now, New York City Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist, he's already seeking a meeting with Donald Trump. Why? I thought he was going to fight Trump. Well, he needs the meeting with Trump to let Trump know, hey, even though I talked all this crap and I proposed all this nonsense, you know, I really don't believe in that. I want to work with you to make the city prosperous so that I can stay in power. The difference between Zoran and Brandon Johnson is that Brandon Johnson didn't get the memo. He might actually believe the nonsense that he spewed from the podium. He might actually believe in this altruism or this idea that it's fair to take from somebody just because they have more than you and give it to somebody who has less. That is not the case. This is a nation of laws. People work for what they want. And if you want more than what you're able to work for, then you go work with people who have more than you in the hopes that it can elevate you to a position that you feel is more fitting or comfortable for you. The formula is not very complicated. The formula is simple. Executing the plan, making a plan, and then executing it is the hard part. But the more you entertain nonsensical ideas, the more you entertain radical leftist ideology, the longer it will take you to get where you want to go, and the further you will be away from actually accomplishing your goals. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you still of the school of thought that believes that this nonsense socialism or democratic socialism can actually work? Or, are you a person who always knew it was gonna doomed to fail? Or are you a person who once believed it could work and now you're seeing the light and you're like, hey, this ain't it? Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate everything you do for me in this channel. Till the next time, peace.